do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Kenneth Ortega, Kennethortega.
Mr. Ortega, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Let me provide you with some instructions, which I provide to every witness. First of all, please sit back and relax. Secondly, please speak in a loud voice so we can hear you. Thirdly, please avoid using the terms uh-huh or uh-uh. They can be really tricky. And fourthly, while in our daily lives a lot of us are used to talking over each other, in a courtroom it's important to hear only one person speaking at one time. So please wait until you hear a full question before you start to answer it, even though you think you may know the question. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Direct examination. Mr. Walgren.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Ortega, what do you do for a living?
I am a director and choreographer working in film, television, and live theater and touring.
First, as a director, what do you do in that arena?
I direct film, direct television, episodic movies, and as a stage director, work to assemble live production.
Okay. And as a choreographer, what type of work do you do? Is it the same breadth of...
Well, I work less as a choreographer now, more supervising as a choreographer, but in the day I would create dance routines, dance production numbers, dance sequences.
Okay. And how long have you been a director and a choreographer?
I've been directing since the 1980s, and I've been choreographing since the 1970s.
And in addition to film and television and stage, are there other productions you've been involved in?
Yes.
Such as?
Olympic ceremonies, Super Bowl ceremonies, World Cup ceremonies, concert touring, theater.
Okay. And did you know Michael Jackson?
Yes, sir.
When did you first meet Mr. Jackson?
I met Michael in 1990.
And do you remember under what circumstances you met him?
Yes. Michael called me at my home and expressed an interest in working with me creatively on an upcoming tour.
And which tour was that?
That was the Dangerous tour.
And you took him up on that offer?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And what was your role on the Dangerous tour?
On the Dangerous tour, I was the co-creator of the show itself with Michael, and I was the director of the production.
In addition to the Dangerous tour, were there other, prior to This Is It, were there other tours you were involved in with Michael?
Yes. I also was Michael's co-creative partner on History, the History tour, and also a couple of other one-off concert productions for charity.
What do you mean one-offs?
Not part of his tour, but like special concerts that were done for charitable reasons.
Okay. Now, in your professional relationship with Mr. Jackson, was it always in, as you described, as co-director or co-creator?
Starting with History, I believe we were co-directors, and then again on This Is It.
Can you describe your professional interaction with Michael in that capacity as co-creators?
Sure. It was just extremely creative, enjoyable, fun, inspirational. Michael and I would meet and begin at the beginning, and have an entire creative process sculpting out the ideas for the production, from the music, staging, effects, lighting, everything that attributed to the whole of the production.
And in these areas, the music, the dance, the staging, the effects, the lighting, would Michael be heavily involved in all of that decision making?
Yeah, I did not do the choreography. Michael did the choreography and also did choreography with other choreographers. I supervised the choreography, but did not do the day in, day out, creation of the dances. In fact, many of those dances were there before I started working with Michael. But yes, in those other areas, costuming, lighting, sound, the staging of the production, illusions.
Okay. And in between tours, for example, Dangerous Tour, you mentioned the History Tour, what type of personal relationship, if any, did you have with Mr. Jackson?
We had just a great friendship working together as professionals. I didn't spend a lot of time with Michael when we weren't engaged in a production, but over the last few years, we did keep in touch a little bit more often, saw each other on occasion, talked on the telephone.
Okay. Now, following the History Tour, what was the next tour you were involved in with Michael Jackson?
Following the History Tour, the next tour would have been This Is It.
Okay. And how did you become involved then on the This Is It tour?
I was first informed by AEG that Michael had an interest in involving me in a planned tour, and then Michael reached out to me personally.
Okay. What is AEG?
It's the company that promoted, that was the promoting company for This Is It.
Okay. And so then Mr. Jackson contacted you directly after that?
Yes.
Okay. And did he ask you to be part of that tour?
Yes, he did.
And can you describe that conversation, please?
Just that he was very excited, and he used the expression, "This is it," a number of times during the telephone conversation, and I remembered saying to him, "You should just call it This Is It. You've said it so many times." He was just very excited. He was, "This is it. This is the time. There's great reason to do this now. I'm excited about this, and I want you to be a part of this with me. Will you do this with me?"
And did you agree to do it?
I was involved in other projects at the time, but I told Michael that I would do everything I could to clear myself so that I could be a part of it with him.
Okay. And were you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start working on the This Is It tour with Michael?
I would say approximately middle April.
And what was your role to be as part of that production?
Co-creator and co-director, along with Michael.
Let's clarify something. Middle April, what year?
2009.
Thank you.
And as co-creator, co-director, was it again the same type of professional relationship you described from the earlier tours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was Michael equally involved in the decision making as it related to the music and the effects and the lighting and all the relevant details?
Completely.
So beginning in mid-April of 2009, how often would you see Michael Jackson?
I say in the beginning, maybe 3 to 4 days a week.
And did that increase in regularity at some point?
Yes. Probably to 4 to 5 days it increased to.
And this would be at wherever the rehearsal was being...
At the center stages in Burbank, California.
Sorry. That's where the rehearsals began?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, it's where our creative conversations began.
Okay. What was, if you could just paint the picture, what was happening at center stages during this initial phase of preparation?
We were having creative conversations, Michael and I, and then Michael and Travis Payne, choreographer, and I, about how we would lay out the production. Michael had music ideas, staging ideas, and we were basically building the show conceptually.
Okay, from scratch?
Yeah, this show was, building it from scratch as this is it. I mean, there would be elements incorporated into this production that Michael had done before, but it was a new show.
Okay. And beginning in mid-April, with these 3 to 4 and eventually increasing to 4 to 5 visits with Michael a week, can you please describe his demeanor and his level of involvement in the preparations?
Yes, he was very excited and just convinced that this was the time. He had great reason to do it, and believed that we had the potential to do something really important and wonderful.
And did he specifically relay to you reasons why he thought this was now the right time to do a tour of this magnitude?
Sure.
What did he tell you?
I mean, he had many sort of reasons, but I would say the most important reasons were that he wanted to share what it is that he loved all of his life with his children. And he wanted to do it for his fans who had been loyal to him and who he cared deeply about, who he loved very much. And he also wanted to do it because he felt now more than ever that his music applied to our world situation. Earth Song, Will You Be There, Heal the World, and other songs. And he wanted to use the stage as a platform to remind people of the importance of us doing whatever we can to take care of this planet and each other.
And he relayed this to you?
Absolutely.
What did he tell you about his desire to put on a production of this magnitude for his children? What did he share with you in that regard?
Just that he was excited that they, that they were fans of his work, becoming big fans of his work, and that now they were of an age where they could really appreciate what it is that he did, and so he felt now was an opportunity for him to be able to share it with them.
During the rehearsal stage at Center Stages and after Center Stages, where did the rehearsal move to?
We moved from Center Stages to the Forum,
Okay.
and from the Forum to the Staples Center.
Okay. And did the children, and I'm referring specifically to Prince and Paris and Blanket, did they attend any of these rehearsals to your knowledge?
No.
Okay. Was there a reason they did not attend the rehearsals?
Michael was waiting to bring them to see the shows in London and wanted them to focus on their schooling.
And did Michael plan on bringing them on tour to London?
Yes. Yes, he talked about them a lot.
The objection is overruled. The first part of the answer, yes, remains. Everything thereafter is stricken. Disregard the remainder of the answer.
And the children would no longer be in school during the summer months of the tour?
Correct.
Now, about the fans, you said the other reason was for the fans. Did he express those thoughts to you specifically?
Yes, he actually was letting the fans vote on the material, the music material that they wanted in the show, that they wanted, as a part of the show. He had an incredible relationship with his fans all over the world, and they with him. And it was very loving and very special, and he wanted to give back to them.
Right. The objection sustained. The answer remains so far. The next question.
And lastly, you indicated the environmental message you wanted to share. Is that, again, something specifically that Michael shared with you?
Yes.
And what did he say in that regard?
Just that his songs that he had written before that were about the environment, the planet, the children, were as important now as they were when he first wrote them, if not even more important. And so he felt compelled to make sure that they were out there and a part of the show experience.
Okay. Now, what was the reason for moving from center staging in Burbank then to the Forum?
Space.
Okay. was that indicative of kind of the progress of the rehearsals, that the production was growing in size?
Yes.
And were you at then the forum for most of June 2009?
Yes.
Saying the answer is correct, which means you should disregard it. Re-ask.
What time period were you at the forum conducting rehearsals? What month?
June.
Okay, of 2009?
Yes.
And at some point toward the end of June 2009, did the production move to the Staples Center?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall when that was?
It was the very end of the month
Okay.
of June.
Well, if Michael died on June 25th, 2009.
A comfortable week before that, I would
Okay.
guess, yes.
But just within that week prior to his death?
Yes, we were there for about a week.
And what was the reason then from moving to from the forum to Staples Center?
Again, a greater space that was closer to the venue that we were going to be playing in London.
Okay. And which venue was that?
In London, the O2.
Okay. That's the O2 Arena?
Yes.
And what was it exactly that required the more space? Was the stage bigger? What was it that?
Ceiling height, rigging for lighting, trusses, the stage itself. It's like a closer example of the venue. So we were moving there to have our final rehearsals in Los Angeles before going to London, and in the closest proximity of a space as we could get.
Okay. Were there unique aspects of the production that required a large space?
Sure, it was a big arena production.
Okay. There were going to be screens, visuals, things of that nature?
Yes. We had an enormous 3D movie screen. We had all kinds of production elements, sets, props, costumes, lighting, special effects, pyrotechnics.
Okay. And the 3D movie screen, was that going to be part of the actual tour?
Yes,
Okay. And whose idea was that?
Michael's.
And what was that going to entail?
Michael and I created together a number of short films that were in 3D that were going to accompany the live production. And so that the audience would actually be having a 3D concert experience at different moments during the production.
Okay. Had you or Michael ever worked with a 3D screen such as this on a tour before?
No, I don't think anyone had. I certainly hadn't.
Mr. Ortega, going then to back to the rehearsals, and I want to ask you about the scheduling, kind of on a day-to-day basis. You mentioned when you began, you would see Michael roughly 3 to 4 times a week. Beginning at center stages, what was kind of if you could just describe for us a daily rehearsal or meeting at center stages between you and Michael, what would it entail?
Well, I mostly worked with Michael at center stages conceptually, but he also did choreography there with the dancers and with Travis.
Okay. And then when you moved to the forum, specifically asking about your interaction with Michael, was it now moved beyond conceptual?
Yes.
Okay, what did it involve now at the forum?
Staging, putting the show on its feet on the stage.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Taking the numbers out of a smaller room and now opening them up to fit on the actual size stage that we would be working with for the show.
And then again, with the very recent, prior to his death, move to Staples Center, what was your interaction with Michael as far as being co-creators and conducting these rehearsals?
One more time with the question, please.
Once you moved to the Staples Center, again, what was your interaction with Michael? You said it began at Center Stages with conceptual. At the Forum, it moved to staging. And now at Staples Center, if you can describe what it involved.
Continued staging and running of numbers.
Okay.
Tech rehearsal, incorporating lighting and other elements of the show now.
Okay. And as far as the rehearsals that we're discussing, would these be morning, afternoon, night? When did these take place with Michael's involvement?
Almost always in the afternoon, later part of the afternoon into the evening.
Okay. And typically, how long would they last as far as Michael's involvement?
I would say between 5 and 7 hours, typically.
Now, would that be 5 to 7 hours of physical performance rehearsal or all aspects of the production?
Yeah, never full physical. All aspects of the production, discussions, meetings, decision-making, and rehearsal.
And as a co-creator with Michael, if agreement wasn't reached on a particular creative idea, who had the last word?
Michael.
Now, was there a period of time in June? Well, let me ask you this. Do you know Conrad Murray, or were you introduced to Conrad Murray?
Yes.
Do you see him in court here today?
Yes.
Could you identify him, please?
It's the gentleman sitting right here at the table in the gray suit.
Pointing to and identifying the defendant, Dr. Murray.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
When did you first meet Conrad Murray?
I met Mr. Murray at Michael Jackson's house forget the name of the street, excuse me.
On Carrollwood?
Carrollwood, thank you.
Okay.
I met Dr. Murray there. Michael introduced me to him one day when I came for a meeting at the house.
Okay. And do you know roughly when that meeting was?
I would say early in our creative process together, April or May.
Okay. And the creative process kind of started around mid-April?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe mid-April to the beginning of May?
Again, I would be guessing. Okay. It was during the creative, I went to Michael's house for a creative meeting, and the doctor was there, and he introduced us.
Okay. But I guess linking it up to maybe where you were at the stage of rehearsals. If it was were you at the Burbank Center Stages?
I would think we were still at Burbank, and I think I would call it the earlier stages.
Okay. So April or May of 2009.
Yes, sir.
And this was at Michael's house on Carrollwood?
Yes.
And was Conrad Murray introduced to you as Michael's personal doctor?
Yes. Michael introduced me as, this is my doctor, Dr. Murray. And we said hello.
And was that pretty much the extent of your meeting with him on that day?
Yes. It wasn't a meeting, it was just an introduction.
Okay. And would Conrad Murray come to the rehearsals from time to time from what you saw?
On a very limited basis, but yes, he did come.
And would this have been at the 3 locations you've described, or are there certain locations you recall?
No, I never remembered him visiting us at Center Stages in Burbank.
Okay. Do you recall him visiting at the Forum?
The Forum, yes.
Do you recall any visits at the Staples Center?
I don't believe so, but I could be mistaken.
Okay. Now, at some point following you being introduced to Conrad Murray and meeting him, at some point in June 2009, were there a period of days or week where Michael was not showing up to rehearsals?
Yes.
When in June did that take place?
I would say toward the latter part of June.
Okay.
before we went to the Staples.
Okay. So again, with Michael's death being on June 25th, 2009, using that as kind of a marker, was it about the prior week? Is that accurate?
Yes, it would have been days leading up. It was the week before.
Okay. So the last week at the forum?
Yes. Again, approximately, sir.
Okay. And what was your knowledge about Michael missing these rehearsals? I assume you were at the location at the forum.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you just learn that he's not coming that day, or how would you become aware of it?
I was expecting him each day, and it became this continued absence.
Okay.
And I was only told that it was scheduling.
Okay. Did you have any reason to doubt that at that time?
No.
Now, I want to ask you about Friday, June 19th, 2009, which I believe would have been one of the last rehearsals at the forum. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And on that day, Friday, June 19th, was it the forum or was it the Staples Center, or do you recall?
I believe it was the forum.
Okay.
I do. I believe it was the forum.
Okay. And did you make observations of Michael on that day of June 19th, 2009 that caused you concern?
Yes.
And can you describe what you personally observed on that day, June 19th, 2009?
That my friend wasn't right, that he wasn't well. There was something going on that was deeply troubling me.
And of course, by my friend, you mean Michael?
Yes.
Michael Jackson?
Yes.
The fact that he wasn't right or he wasn't well and it troubled you, did you see physical manifestations of this that caused you concern?
He was chilled, and he appeared lost.
What do you mean by that?
Just sort of lost and a little incoherent. And although we were conversing, and I did ask him questions, and he did answer me, I did feel, though, that he was, not well at all.
Did you think he was well enough to rehearse?
No,
Did he rehearse?
he did not.
What happened when you made these observations?
What happened when
What did you do when you made at the location when you're seeing Michael in this condition? What did you do?
I offered him food, which he accepted, and I brought him food. I put a blanket around him. I rubbed his feet, put a heater in the room next to him, and we just talked, and he said, "Can I sit with you tonight and watch rehearsal? I would really like that. Could Travis go on stage and perform, and could I sit with you and watch rehearsal?" And I said, "If you'd like, absolutely, Michael."
Okay. Is that what he did?
Yes, for a while.
Okay. Did you sit with him?
Yes.
And how long did that go on, do you think, where he sat there with you and watched the rehearsal taking place?
I'm guessing under 2 hours, maybe an hour and 15 minutes.
Was he still chilled? What was his condition?
He didn't seem chilled, but he just seemed, he wasn't there like, it was just, there was something wrong.
Had you ever seen him like that previously in that
No.
condition? I'm sorry?
Not like that, no.
Now, did Michael stay till the end of the rehearsal that night?
No, he did not.
What happened?
He left early.
Okay. And had you discussed that with Michael?
Yes, I suggested it, actually.
Okay. And he agreed?
Yes.
Now, you've indicated this caused you concern. Did you express those concerns to anybody following this June 19th encounter?
I did.
Okay. And did you, in fact, send an email expressing your concerns?
I did.
Can I have an exhibit? I asked that it be marked Pupils 1 for identification. It appears to be an email from Kenny Ortega to Randy Phillips, dated Saturday, June 20th, 2009 at 2:04 a.m. People's One.
It's marked.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Mr. Ortega, I'd like to show you Pupils 1. Do you recognize that email, sir?
Yes.
With the only change, you would agree, is that the actual email addresses have been redacted?
Yes.
But that's an email from you to Randy Phillips on the date I read, June 20th, 2009, in fact, at 2:04 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes.
Now, when you wrote this email, what was your frame of mind in regard to Michael's condition?
I was deeply concerned, and I wanted others to know.
And the encounter with Michael that caused you concern was Friday, June 19th. I see this is written, or at least sent, Saturday, June 20th at 2:04 a.m. So that was a couple hours after the rehearsal?
Yes, I was still at the facility,
Okay.
sitting there in my office, and I wrote it.
Okay. And if you could, Mr. Ortega, could you please read the email out loud?
May I have some water, Your Honor? Thank you.
May we do that? You want to wait till you get the water?
That would be
before you
great.
start to
I
read?
appreciate that. Thank you.
Give us a moment. Mr. Seo, Deputy Jones, thank you.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Ortega, if you could just read it from top to bottom, I'd appreciate it.
Randy, I will do whatever I can to be of help with the situation. If you need me to come to the house, just give me a call in the morning. My concern is, now that we've brought the doctor into the fold and have played the tough love now or never card, is that the artist may be unable to rise to the occasion due to real emotional stuff. He appeared quite weak and fatigued this evening. He had a terrible case of the chills, was trembling, rambling, and obsessing. Everything in me says he should be psychologically evaluated. If we have any chance at all to get him back in the light, it's going to take a strong therapist to help him through this, as well as immediate physical nurturing. I was told by our choreographer that during the artist's costume fitting with his designer tonight, they noticed he'd lost more weight. As far as I can tell, there is no one taking responsibility, caring for him on a daily basis. Where was his assistant tonight? Tonight I was feeding him, wrapping him in blankets to warm his chills, massaging his feet to calm him, and calling his doctor. There were 4 security guards outside his door, but no one was offering him a cup of hot tea. Finally, it's important for everyone to know, I believe that he really wants this. It would shatter him, break his heart if we pulled the plug. He's terribly frightened it's all going to go away. He asked me repeatedly tonight if I was going to leave him. He was practically begging for my confidence. It broke my heart. He was like a lost boy. There still may be a chance he can rise to the occasion if we get him the help he needs. Sincerely, Kenny.
And does that accurately reflect your thoughts and concerns on June 19th and June 20th following what you've testified to?
Yes.
Let me ask you a couple questions, Mr. Ortega. At the beginning of the email, you indicate that we brought the doctor into the fold. Number one, who is the doctor?
Dr. Murray?
Okay. And what did you mean by bringing him into the fold?
Dr. Murray was now creating the schedule for Michael, so that he could, he was creating a daily schedule for Michael and involved in helping us so that Michael could make rehearsals.
Okay. And this was in response to the days preceding or that prior week where Michael wasn't showing up to rehearsals?
Yes.
Okay. And you also indicate that have played the tough love, now or never card. Had you played the tough love, now or never card?
No.
What was that referencing?
I believe that there was a meeting that was held, without my presence, that was about informing Michael that, unless he started to show up at rehearsals, that it was very possible we weren't going to be able to make the goals of the show.
And the goals of the show being what?
Being able to open, in London at the O2.
You also state in this email, quote, tonight I was feeding him, wrapping him in blankets to warm his chills, massaging his feet to calm him, and calling his doctor. Again, calling his doctor, is that Conrad Murray?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to reach him that evening?
No, sir.
You then, toward the end of the email, describe, finally, and I'm quoting, finally, it's important for everyone to know. I believe that he really wants this. It would shatter him, break his heart if we pulled the plug. He's terribly frightened. It's all going to go away. When you're referencing, I believe he really wants this, what are you referencing?
Always Michael would talk about how important this was and how we were going to accomplish this, and always just was very positive and optimistic.
Okay. But what is the, he really wants this? What is the this?
The show.
Okay. The tour?
The show. The tour.
Okay. And so when you go on to say it would shatter him, break his heart if we pulled the plug, you're referencing pulling the plug on the tour.
Yeah.
That's yes?
Yes.
And again, the next sentence, he's terribly frightened, it's all going to go away. Again, you're referencing the tour and the production.
Yes.
On that would actually be this same day, Saturday, June 20th, since it was written at 2:04 in the morning. Was a meeting held at the Carrollwood address that you attended?
Yes.
Okay. And had that meeting been previously scheduled?
It was scheduled that day.
Okay. That day meaning Saturday, June 20th?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you become aware of this meeting?
My assistant told me that we'd received a call asking me to be at the house.
Okay. And did you go to Michael's house at Carrollwood?
I did.
Do you recall what time of day it was?
I would say late morning or early afternoon.
And knowing that you had sent this email the night before, or actually that same day, Did you know that the meeting was going to center on these concerns, or did you speculate, or what?
The meeting wasn't broken down to me. I assumed that it would be about Michael.
Okay. And when you arrived at 100 North Carrollwood, who was there?
As I best recollect, it was Randy Phillips, Frank DeLeo, Dr. Murray, and Michael.
And when you first then came into this meeting, did you soon learn what the topic was?
Yes.
Okay. And were you confronted by someone?
Yes.
By whom?
Dr. Murray.
And what was the topic, or what was expressed to you by Conrad Murray at this meeting?
He was upset that I didn't allow Michael to rehearse the night before and that I sent him home. And he was upset that he said I should stop trying to be an amateur doctor and psychologist and be the director and allow Michael's health to him. And
those were the words of Conrad Murray?
As close as I can remember them, yes.
And let me back up for a minute. You said he was upset that you did not let Michael rehearse.
Right.
And did you respond to that?
I did. I said it wasn't my choice, even though I agreed with it entirely.
You agreed that Michael should not have rehearsed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was Michael's request to sit out and watch the show, and I felt that was a far safer place for him to be.
Okay. But according to what Conrad Murray was relaying to you, this upset Conrad Murray?
Well, yes.
And then he told you words to the effect of, don't act like a doctor or amateur psychologist.
Yes.
Direct the show and leave Michael's health to me.
Yes.
How did you respond to that?
He also assured me, if I may, that Michael's...
The objection sustained. The last answer is stricken. Disregard it.
What was your question, please,
Thank you.
sir?
Re-ask.
I'll re-ask. What did Conrad Murray, what did he assure you?
That Michael was physically and emotionally capable of handling all of his responsibilities for the show.
And how did you respond?
I was shocked
Why?
because Michael didn't appear to me to be physically or emotionally stable at that moment.
From that prior night?
Yeah.
What was Conrad Murray's general demeanor as he made these statements to you?
It was stern.
Were you defending yourself? Were you responding in kind, or?
Yes.
Okay. And how did Conrad Murray respond to that?
Well, I said to Michael, please tell the doctor that's not the way it went down. I didn't ask you not to perform, and I didn't send you home, that this was something that we agreed on together. And Michael said, yes, that's what happened.
Yes, agreeing with you?
Yes.
Okay. In Dr. Murray's presence?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened after that, if you recall?
Michael told me that he was ready to take the reins, that I should not be afraid, that he was perfectly capable of handling the responsibilities. He wanted to do it, wanted me to stay at his side, told me to believe in him. And I told him I loved him. I was concerned for his health and safety. He said, I know that. And I said, that's the only reason why, I brought these things up, because I care about you and I don't want any ill harm to fall upon you. And he said, I'm fine, Kenny, I promise you. And he gave me a hug, and I left Carrollwood.
Okay. After hugging Michael?
Yes.
Following that meeting then of Saturday, June 20th, was the next rehearsal the Tuesday, June 23rd, 2009?
Yes.
Okay. So those days in between, that Sunday the 21st, Monday the 22nd, there was no rehearsal those days?
It was a load-in, I believe, to the Staples Center.
Okay. And of course, that same day, Saturday, there was no rehearsal that day as well?
Correct. I don't know if Michael rehearsed privately, but there
Okay.
wasn't a called rehearsal.
Okay.
Sometimes Michael rehearsed privately.
Going then to Tuesday, June 23rd, 2009, was Michael in the same condition he had been on Friday, June 19th?
No.
Okay. What was his demeanor? What was his condition on Tuesday, June 23rd?
He entered into rehearsal full of energy, full of desire to work, full of enthusiasm, and it was a different Michael.
The following day, which would be Wednesday, June 24th, did Michael show up for rehearsal that day?
He did.
And again, what was his demeanor, condition?
The same.
The same as the night prior?
Yes.
Okay. Involved?
Full participant in both rehearsals and other areas of production.
Going back for a moment to June 23rd, do you remember a production, Michael performing The Way You Make Me Feel?
Yes.
Okay. And then on June 24th was one of the rehearsal numbers, the Earth Song?
Yes.
Do you remember a conversation with Michael on June 24th, following the rehearsal, where he asked you if you were happy?
Yes.
Can you describe that conversation, please?
Yes. We had 2 very successful days at rehearsal, and Michael was feeling great, and he looked at me and he asked me if I was happy, and I said I was happy, and I asked him if he was happy, and he said he was very happy.
Do you recall him saying that he felt the dream or words to that effect?
Yes, he felt like we were accomplishing the dream. He saw it before him in those rehearsals.
Now, the following day, which would have been Thursday, June 25th, 2009, was there a particular illusion scheduled to take place that day?
Yes.
What was that, first of all?
It was the big illusion that happened in the production, and it transitioned Michael from one musical event to another musical event.
And how was that accomplished?
It was a, you mean like, what, can you be clear?
What was the illusion?
The illusion, Michael was standing on a bed and these silk flames sort of obscured him, and when the silk flames came down, he vanished, and he would rise up on a cherry picker and float out over the audience.
Okay. And on Wednesday, June 24th, was the fact that this illusion was going to be utilized the following day, was that discussed between you and Michael?
Yes, it was.
Can you describe that, please?
Yes, he was very excited. He loved magic. He loved illusions. We always had them in the shows, and he was excited that the apparatus was arriving and that we were going into rehearsals for the illusion.
And how did the evening come to a close on Wednesday, June 24th, 2009? You said your goodbyes, or how did it come to a close between you and Michael?
Michael, as I said, was very happy. He asked me to thank everybody, to tell them that he loved them, the dancers, the singers, the band, the crew. I told him that I would have everything prepared for him the next day by the time he arrived at rehearsal, so he could step right into the illusion rehearsal. And I told him that I loved him, and he told me that he loved me more, and I gave him a big hug, and he left the building.
The next day, Mr. Ortega, did you respond to Staples Center on June 25th to begin work on the illusion and the rehearsal?
Yes, I did.
And at some point while you were at Staples Center, did you learn there was a very serious issue with Michael taking place?
Yes, I did.
How did you learn that?
Telephone call.
From whom?
Paul Gongaware.
And what did he tell you?
That an ambulance that had left Carrollwood, in fact, was carrying Michael Jackson, and that Michael was at the hospital, and that he was in with the doctors, and he would call me back when he knew more.
Was that Paul Gongaware or Randy Phillips?
Yes, Paul Gongaware.
Paul Gongaware?
Yes,
And did you then get a subsequent call?
I did.
And from whom?
From Paul Gongaware.
And what did he tell you?
That we lost him.
And you learned,
Mr. Walker, at a convenient point, let me know for purposes of the mid-afternoon break.
and you learned through that phone call that Michael had been pronounced dead?
Yes.
What did you do at the Staples Center at that time?
It took a while for me to even feel my feet on the ground. And it was clear that everyone in the room was getting text messages and phone calls, and that the word had spread. And I called everyone to the floor, the entire company that was there, everyone from backstage, the entire cast. And we all joined in a circle, and I informed them of Michael's passing.
This is a good time to break, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take the mid-afternoon break. As always, please follow to the letter my orders regarding your